Hey, what is up, YouTube, gaming family, and boxing family? Don't worry, I'm gonna be talking about Devin Haney very, very soon. In a quick video after this video, but I wanted to touch base on some Mortal Kombat to all my Mortal Kombat fans out there. See now, I have had some real, controversial, discussion, and I've always wanted to know about the continuation or the status quo for Mortal Kombat Legacy, to which that series itself was a good series to begin with, and I definitely enjoyed watching it. And I think the thing about Mortal Kombat Legacy is that it's a good series that only lasted 2 seasons on YouTube, and unfortunately, I don't know what happened to the seasons overall, but it just seemed like that Mortal Kombat had a good start with it, and it was decent. It wasn't the best because it really had a lot of off balance storyline connections to it, and the biggest problem that I really had with that series was just that it just started with everybody's character bio of how they started out, and I didn't really understand it. I kind of felt the whole notion of that series was to just basically retcon certain characters, and that's basically how it all went down. So I mean, I never really bought into it because Mortal Kombat was just a type of... Oh wait, hold on. Give me 1 second. Hold up. Alright, so back to what I was saying. For Mortal Kombat, as far as the series went, the series itself was supposed to be a series to talk about the rebirth of Mortal Kombat characters. And I think the biggest problem with Mortal Kombat alone was just that the retcon of characters that they were trying to break down didn't really make any sense with their lores. And it kind of felt like that to me personally. It felt like that whoever made those short little films of each and every single character, they were obviously trying to just mash it up to together to compound it in a certain way where the characters alone just had a weird, unique way of being described. And I really wasn't too keen on that because I never really thought of that to be a really good, how should I say, open door message to every single character to understand the notion of the gaming lore and to understand the actual movie lore, because the movie lore made no sense and it just basically showed itself to just be very, how should I say, biased, and it was just completely off balance. I would even say it with the newest Mortal Kombat movie, Mortal Kombat 2021, in which that movie was a little bit more consistent, but but that movie was still not on par with the full lore leading up to the very first tournament, because that's really what Mortal Kombat was supposed to go into, the very first tournament leading into the old timeline with the new timeline. So I mean, either way, just looking back at it with Mortal Kombat Legacy, to which people called it Mortal Kombat Rebirth at one time, back on YouTube, but obviously the YouTube series was technically labeled as Mortal Kombat Legacy. And I would think that knowing that would be the legacy series of characters, you know, being described and then being brought to the stage of them fighting each other, that's what I had thought originally, to think that's what, you know, the whole mantra of Mortal Kombat would be. But then on top of that, you know, whoever was directing the series and pushing the series a certain type of direction, I can see like why, you know, NetherRealm Studios would probably never even go forward with even trying to make their own type of series themselves, because Ed Boon himself would even say that whoever's even trying to like make like certain spin-off films to the to the sense of trying to think that's how, you know, that the writers or the developers of making these certain video game characters be made is how Mortal Kombat was originally intended for. And I disagree with that, because Mortal Kombat is a very, very franchise, billion-dollar industry level video game and movie series, to which the movies were always worse than the video games. But you can easily tell, you know, if a good movie was made to perfectly describe Mortal Kombat and actually give you like the cutscenes and the content that you wanted out of a certain movie, versus out of the video games. The video games actually acted like real movies, and they actually did their own thing to actually give you what to actually give you what you paid for and what you wanted. So that's something that I can definitely give credit for the development of Mortal Kombat games, versus the movies. They could definitely do better, and they've definitely done a very, very crappy job. And same thing with any sort of like a cartoon or, you know, short film series, you know, similar to like a Netflix, you know, type of level. But I mean, as far as just like the 2 seasons of Mortal Kombat Legacy, it was decent to say the least. I mean, I did like certain character, you know, character introductions to Scorpion, Cyrax, and Sector, which their storyline upbringings didn't make any sense, because it's like they never brought any mention to Oniro, who was like the head leader of the Lin Kuei, and they kind of just skimmed right through that and just said that Sector and Cyrax, they just basically got put into some like, you know, military style base, and then they just got basically captured and abducted to be put into a chamber, of which they were basically just, you know, they were forced into their will to be turned into robots, where, you know, some mad scientist, or I wouldn't say mad scientist, but a scientist that was forced, you know, by the Lin Kuei to like use some form of like, you know, operational surgery to like, you know, inject, you know, android parts into Cyrax and Sector's body, where they're like complete androids to the point where everything's cybernetic, and everything's basically coded to a point where their level of thinking is basically just based off of the notion of just being a cybernetic robot. And that's just something that I just found very weird, because, you know, that's not how Sector and Cyrax were. For those of you that don't know, Cyrax and Sector, they were 2 different people. Cyrax, he wanted to, you know, basically be the protector of Earth realm, and he wanted to become, you know, like the man of justice, to stand up for good, not stand not stand up for evil. So obviously, just to break it down quickly, the only reason why Cyrax was ever to be a android or to be a robot was mainly because of Sector, because Sector tricked him into thinking that the Lin Kuei was going to offer him the things that he wanted, but unfortunately he wasn't able to do that, because he was basically put in a position where once Sub-Zero or once Kuai Liang wasn't able to solidify his control of the Lin Kuei, that's when Sector and Oniro basically came to fruition, to kind of like gather up like of like most of what the Lin Kuei members to basically be turned into robots, and then that's where the Cyber Lin Kuei was formed to the Takunin soldiers, if I'm not mistaken, where Sector wanted to basically have his own little army and shit like that, and he wanted to basically like turn everybody into robots and shit out of the Lin Kuei, and then that's where Cyrax he got he got tricked into being turned into a robot. He got captured by Sector, if I'm not mistaken, and Sector forced him to his will, or forced him against his will, to the point where Cyrax he basically was a walking target. So either way, that's where Cyber Sub-Zero came along, where let the lore of Cyber Sub-Zero, according to the Mortal Kombat 2011 version video game, that's where Cyber Sub-Zero was quote unquote created. But I didn't really believe that to be true, because if you really think about it, like from the old timeline leading into the new timeline, Cyber Sub-Zero wasn't really too much of a thing. And the Cyber Sub-Zero that we could say from Mortal Kombat 9 leading into Mortal Kombat 10, it just didn't make any sense, because if you think about it, if Sub-Zero was a robot, he should have stayed to become a robot according to the Kuai Liang lore. So in Mortal Kombat Legacy, it should have brought Kuai Liang into the picture a lot sooner, where after the first tournament, or leading up to the first tournament, Cyber Sub-Zero was created for the sake of, after Raiden and Shao Kahn had their little beef and they settled it in Mortal Kombat, it should have been settled to the sense of, once the Lin Kuei had their control, that was something of which Cyber Sub-Zero was to be formed, and then we would have seen the evolution of Cyber Sub-Zero, of where his life would have been brought to. But we obviously knew, leading into Mortal Kombat 9, to the very end of the to the very end of the storyline, that's where Raiden and Liu Kang, they had let their little square off, and then unfortunately Raiden killed Liu Kang, and then Liu Kang turned into becoming a Revenant. And then after that, I believe Shinnok and Quan Chi, they worked together to come back to, or to basically form an alliance, so therefore Quan Chi can work with Devore and all the other villains that he had came into contact with, so that way they could bring back Shinnok. But in Mortal Kombat 10, that went into the future, so therefore it made me think that Raiden, he basically reset a time, to the sense of which, once Kronika said in Mortal Kombat 11 that every single timeline has a different time zone limit of where the realms start and end. I think that's what Raiden did. He resetted the timeline after the very first victory over Shao Kahn, where the Elder Gods came in, they fixed everything, and then boom. Shao Kahn, he was never to be thought of heading into the future post Mortal Kombat 1, or to the very first tournament. So it actually makes you think, heading into Mortal Kombat Legacy, that would either be a prologue or that would be a retcon of what would have happened after these guys fought it out, and then who basically comes out to become the new generational characters, because that's what Mortal Kombat's supposed to be. It's a never-ending cycle of the good guys, or the good characters, fighting up against the bad characters. But everybody has a storyline to where everyone was selected to go to Mortal Kombat to the sake of them fighting each other to the death. So, I mean, honestly, to me, I think Mortal Kombat Legacy is a good series, but the problem is just that the lore was absolutely off balance, and it just didn't make any sense, because they did show little bits and clips of certain scenes with Kitana and Melina, where they were both talking to one another, and then for some weird ass reason, they got into like this weird fighting exchange against each other, to which, that's how they're supposed to be. But how it all started was that Melina went after Johnny Cage. She saw him, sitting down in some part of the foresty area, and then she started fighting him because, she wanted to, like, basically show her dominance over him and try to kill him. And then that's where Johnny Cage, he technically was shown to be dead, from like the early stages of the opening, trailer episode, where I think like Scorpion or Hanzo Hasashi, Scorpion was talking with Jax, and then Jax told him like a little, updated, or I guess like an updated historical record showing that Johnny Cage was a undercover agent, and then he fought some guy that was trying to impersonate becoming Baraka, where he was like some mad scientist type of dude that went psychotic. He was a basically a previous doctor of some sort, and I have no clue how the hell Baraka was ever to be basically made as like a human version. But basically this man like put himself into a position where he basically injected like katana blades into his arms, and that's how Baraka was ever to be like a thing, because some black dude that was like such a nice aspiring, like, soon to be successful doctor, was gonna make good things, but then just out of nowhere he just starts getting psychotically evil. So Baraka's soul just went into him, and he just started turning into a Tarkatan overnight. Yeah, that doesn't work like that. And number two, I think Baraka would have either came out of the Outworld portal, and he probably would have been either smoked by Johnny Cage, or he would have given Johnny Cage like a really tough fight, because it's not like Baraka, he can't kill some some like some form of level good characters out of the original timeline. Because like honestly, like I think like the problem with Baraka's storyline was just that he was basically used to be a journeyman type of character, where like he wins some but he loses the majority of his fights, because Baraka, he's not a demigod type of character. He's he's not the type of character where you would you would expect him to do good things, but in the end Baraka is there to be a punching bag for somebody to just say, oh well, look at here, it's just this weird Tarkatan gatekeeper warrior by the name of Baraka. And not to say Baraka, he doesn't have his own crew, because the nigga got his own crew, and Baraka, he's nobody to be played with. But the problem with Baraka is just that his role in the storyline in Mortal Kombat has always been poorly written, and it seems like the developers over at NetherRealm Studios, they've always wanted to keep it that way, because Baraka was never to be that type of person to actually have that much power. And I think honestly, when Baraka does get his shine to claim dominance, I think what's going to happen is that Baraka's going to have his moment where you're going to start seeing his storyline become a lot stronger. And I think honestly, like just to have that type of storyline for him will start to make other characters, get their shine too. And I think like the biggest issue with Mortal Kombat Legacy was just that how they started introducing these characters. They did a very horrible job giving giving us like the brief rundown of who these characters are. They just gave like little sneak peeks and little snippets of like what they did, and it just didn't really sit well with me. I mean, I just found that to be really weird, very corny, and I can understand like why Mortal Kombat Legacy only did good for 2 seasons, because they probably looked at like the amount of people that actually I wouldn't even say that. I think it was mainly just due to the fact that Ed Boon and whoever was running, operations with Mortal Kombat, um, they probably just didn't want that series to continue. Because I mean, maybe it could have been like a fan, distaste or like basically, the marketized incentive was just not there to make the episodes because whoever was going to pay those guys to like keep doing that weird ass, acting. I mean, I could definitely see why the series never continued because some of the acting was just like absolutely dog shit and just horrible. And I mean, like, for rightful like measures, obviously, I'm pretty sure it was probably some group of guys that probably did get permission through, either Warner Brothers or NetherRealm Studios. But I just think that the production overall, it like, that was just like some weird ass college level type of, low tier acting. I mean, that's just me, of course, but I just think, honestly, like, at the end of the day, man, like, Mortal Kombat Legacy, could have been, that type of, a short film series where everything would have been set up properly. So, I mean, like, we'll see what happens, but I think, like, compare that to the Mortal Kombat 2021 film. The 2021 film was actually a little bit better, but that was like way off to the point where you had like, Kano killing Reptile, which made no sense. And then for some weird reason, Melina gets killed by Sonya in the Mortal Kombat 2021 film. And that just made no sense whatsoever because Melina, she's stronger than Sonya, and she would like definitely kill her if she had the the ability to. So I don't know, man. I think honestly, um, I think NetherRealm Studios, they definitely need to start, relooking into making better movie films. Because if they definitely want to introduce like more casuals to liking Mortal Kombat, in which a lot of people do because Mortal Kombat is mostly popularly or like to the most part their popularity is highly known for the fatalities and let the certain characters that promote let the certain how should I say let the certain cultural aspect of what character reaches out to you more, whether that's Sub-Zero or that's Scorpion or Johnny Cage or Reptile or Shang Tsung. Like, like you have so many cultural aspects of certain characters that represent certain things. And that's what I like out of Mortal Kombat, because Mortal Kombat is a very successful video game, but as far as a movie business, it's definitely on its very 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 heavy low popularity rate. They're definitely not doing good. They need lots of improvement and better acting too. I think the acting in in certain films were just garbage. Like, obviously Mortal Kombat Annihilation, that movie was very on point because it actually talked about the lead up to the first tournament. So that movie of itself made perfect sense because you knew who was going to be, like who was going to be in the tournament and what was going to be set up for everybody to prioritize themselves. So I definitely give props to that crew, of the 1990s that made it. But that's that's the type of acting that I want to see from Mortal Kombat films, and hopefully we can see that more with other Mortal Kombat ideas. I'm pretty sure Ed Boon and plenty of other people that work in the movie industries. They're probably gonna get something built up together. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Let me know what you guys think about Mortal Kombat Legacy. Do you think Mortal Kombat Legacy is a good or was a good series? And what did you like about it? And what could you have seen better for Mortal Kombat Legacy? And Mortal Kombat 2021. Did you think that the movie itself was good? I'll probably even make like my full movie review on Mortal Kombat 2021. But either way, that's pretty much it for me. I'm getting very, very tired. I'm gonna talk about Devin Haney and Cambozo tomorrow. So I'll definitely see you guys tomorrow. Shit. See you guys tomorrow when I'm up, from my sleep. So, alright, I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Salute to the mighty LDBC. Alright, bye.